Hey Trent, how are you?
Hey Trevor, how you doing?
I'm doing well. It's another beautiful day. Actually, we did have the weather change on us, so it's back into the high 70s and 80s. What do you think?
I love it. I think it's great to just get that defrost. I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of Florida was in a deep freeze,
Yeah.
which,
North Florida had like 8 inches that one day or a couple days, like in the Panhandle.
some people enjoy that.
Yeah, they're crazy. I could kind of see it with like Florida. It's kind of like once a year, grow up in Idaho, in Seattle and Portland area in Oregon. Once a year, they might get enough snow. And there was more accidents on that one day than all the rest of the days combined because they're not used to snow.
Nobody knows how to deal with it. They're like, our salt goes on margaritas, not on the road. So we can't handle this. Like,
Yeah.
People are like, but I need to get places.
I know. I mean, they had snowmen surfing up north, up in North Florida, I should say.
Yeah.
So that's what I assumed. I mean, I didn't really see that, but I assumed people were making snowmen and, it had more of a beach vibe to it.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to make the most of it, I would say. Here we go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what's going on? What's new with you?
What's new with me is I am enjoying the other side of the business, not just doing the conventional stuff. I'm enjoying a little bit of being an investor.
Oh, tell us about that.
Yeah, so I completed one flip recently, and I would call it a learning experience. People say if you don't lose mass amounts of money on your first flip, you're doing pretty well. Broke even. So
okay, yeah,
cool
I mean that is a lot better than normal. So,
yeah.
Did you do your own lending for that?
On that one, I outsourced it because the wholesaler, they had a whole system, and they kind of said, well, during this period, you have to use our lender, the way they kind of work it.
Okay.
Yep. But I'm into the next one, and I am being my own lender on that one.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you notice any differences with that, or?
I do actually. Like the one that I'm using now, like it's fantastic. You can do 10% down, get your rehab covered. So I think it's great. It's been a good flow. You just have to stay on top of it and keep submitting whatever they ask for.
Do you have a contractor that you just have been using, like the same guy or something?
We did, but we're switching because we're in the learning process.
Oh,
so
okay.
The first guy, he got it done. He just kind of gave us a number, said, "Don't worry, my friend, I'll take care of you." And then we kept asking for transparency, and we didn't get any. The new contractor said, "Here it is. Here's what labor costs." And my wife is ecstatic. She loves all the numbers on that side. So we're gonna end up just actually switching. And they have really good work too. So it'll be fun. It's close to the office this time around. So going to do some flip content in there coming soon.
Excellent. So let me ask you though, when you how did you meet this contractor? Like, was it from somebody in the office or?
It was from the wholesaler who sold us the property. He said, "Hey, I know you've been looking for other contractors. I always run into them because they want to get business this business." Yeah. So they met us at the property, and we kind of double dated in a way. We had both contractors there at the same time, got the bids in from each of them, and said, "Okay, we're gonna go this direction." So it was a referral that way.
Did that other contractor? Did you feel like a little bit betrayed?
I think a little bit because it's kind of like, oh, why is somebody else here? And you're like, well, we're still trying options.
Well, we only broke even on the first time, and we need to try to make money this time.
Yes, we want to do more of this.
Right.
Right.
So, I mean, ideally, what are your plans? Are you like doing 3 or 4 flips a year?
That would be fantastic. The point of it is to, first, if it's going to be a little bit of growth phase, so we can build up additional capital through having it and then create a cushion. Realistically, it's going to be a good side business for my wife. More of a primary thing. She's very entrepreneurial, and right now she's just stuck behind an IT job, slaving away for 50 hours a week. So she's like, I need something else, something that fuels my spirit rather than just taking and doing just a desk job.
The nice thing about flips is it does it reaches in your creative side, in a lot of different ways because, it's not just like redoing the house and stuff, but getting creative with the financing, getting creative with, selling it and everything. So everything becomes a little bit more creative. Is she going to get a real estate license?
I told her she should.
I think she should.
She'd be good at it.
I have a good friend, Shane McCory. Hey, buddy, if you're watching this, he does flips up in North Idaho. Fantastic. He does it with his dad, Shane McCory. 2 Shanes don't make it right. But But anyways, he shared one the other day on Facebook, and of course I got to look and see who the realtor is up there,
Mm-hmm.
and he's always using his good friends and stuff. But
Yeah.
in my head, I'm like, why aren't you or your girlfriend Lacey like whenever you get your real estate license? So I sent him a DM the other day. I was like, hey man, I'm not trying to pry, but 4 years ago we were talking about you getting your real estate license and joining my team,
Yeah.
and I said, obviously I'm not in North Idaho anymore, but I'm like, man, it really confuses me when I see you post all your flips and stuff with your dad and then you're not selling them yourself. And he's like, actually, I'm in the process of getting my real estate license.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because, like, I don't know what the listing agent does. I know there's a little bit of a negotiation there, but it's like sometimes like, hey, I need to make money this flip. But if you could just say, hey, I'm referring it to you and we're going to partner on it, then you could just dictate the terms of how that referral works. And now you're getting paid on it. It's going to help your overhead.
That's true too. Yeah, I mean, so you're saying she wouldn't even necessarily sell it; she'd just refer it out and get the referral.
Potentially, yeah. So she could just do it that way.
I will say, a good friend of mine when I first got into the business, he wasn't a good friend when I first got into business, but after I got into the business, we got to know each other. He was about 4 years older, and I grew up at Coeur d'Alene High School, and he went to Coeur d'Alene High School. I remember him, and he was kind of this punk guy, just like he was one of the bullies type. But you get out of high school, and all that stuff changes, and he's like one of the nicest guys.
Yeah.
And I was at the office when I first got my real estate license, and I'm like, hey, Sean, I never talked to you, but I'm just curious, and he's like, actually, I really don't sell that much real estate. He's like, I own a trucking company, and I would prefer just to truck all day. He's like, I like it. He's like, he's like, but I got my real estate license. He's like, because my good friend Chad Salisbury, and who's one of the major listing agents up in North Idaho where I was, he's like, he convinced me to get it and just send referrals to him. And I was like, wow, that's a good idea. I was like, so how much did you make? He's like, my first year I made $30,000 in just referrals.
Cool.
I was like, wow. He's like, my second year I made $55,000.
Nice.
Never did any work. Just talking to people, referring them to Chad or to whoever.
Yeah.
And then them getting the work done and him just getting paid. And then he's like, after a while, he's like, he's like, now I realize all those people that I could have helped, I could have, made, and it would have, built his business up. So after about 2 years of just referring, he decided, I'm actually just going to become a real estate agent. I'm going to give up trucking and, stop referring. He's still a top agent nowadays. It doesn't seem like he has to try that hard because some people, they just know people. They just talk to people.
Yeah.
Everywhere they go, they just talk to people, and everybody knows Sean. And it's like, he doesn't even have to try to get business. And that's why with the referral thing, it was so good for him. But even if you don't practice in real estate, having a real estate license, you can get paid.
You get paid. That's the biggest thing. Yeah, it's always the barrier. You're not licensed, you can't get paid.
Yeah, exactly. So that's interesting. Yeah, I think Rishwa would be good at that. I mean, too, like, it seems like she's already, like how you said with the spreadsheets and everything, she's already breaking down the cost and all that stuff. She wants to know the labor. That's basically real estate. You're just making sure you're netting what you need to net at the end.
Yeah, and now she'd have extra tools to be able to say, hey, need to do this instead, to find the properties, net the properties.
True.
Too.
Yeah, so, not just selling, but buying and
finding them.
And, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I think flipping would be kind of fun. I'd like to, if I did it, I'd have to get my hands dirty a little bit. Like, I couldn't let the contractor do all the work.
You're like, I need to do that demo.
That'd be the reason for me to do the flip. It's like, I'll take those cabinets out.
Do you know the client I dealt with this week? I will take the cabinets out.
It's not a problem. I have it done in 30 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I think in the future I might get into that too. I didn't do any flips before when I was, about 10 years ago when I was getting into real estate. I did more like I bought rentals and stuff. So I bought duplexes, didn't do a whole lot of work to them. I might have done like the flooring or something.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know.
New floors.
So I got pretty good with like cheap laminate flooring and stuff. I could lay it down quick.
Yeah.
But that's about it. I didn't do any of that fancy stuff. So is that basically what you do for the most part? Or are you ripping stuff out?
So the first one was cosmetic. This one's going to be more cosmetic. All the major stuff's done already. So but it's going to be a really high-end flip. So we're going to use high-end materials, make it look really, really nice in there.
Really? So you're doing a more high-end flip now, huh?
Yeah, we're stepping up.
Most people stay at that lower price point for a while.
Uh, nope. My wife said the numbers work on this, and we can make this, and so we're gonna make it work. And I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I will say typically they do say like the more you spend, the more potential there is typically.
Mhm.
You know, it's always a percentage usually. So
right, we are looking at percentages. We're also looking at raw numbers. We're like, okay, if we can sell it within this time frame, then we get that. We just have to sell it fast enough.
right. And I would imagine, I mean, looking at it, you're like, it's got to be in an area that's selling pretty well. It can't be in an area that's, you know, because there are parts of Florida that they're a bit slower than other parts. You know, a lot of the Airbnb places and whatnot in Davenport, and even where I live in St. Cloud, there's so much growth that there's so much builds going on. It's a lot more difficult to turn properties.
Yeah, and I think it makes it tricky because if people are like, I can just go get new construction where they offer all these massive incentives and they pay for, $40,000 towards closing costs or something like that, then people are like, I guess I'll do that instead of just trying to haggle and negotiate. There's a real aversion to negotiation, which is why, kind of tying this back into flipping a little bit, like, I'm glad my wife loves that part.
Yeah, I love that part.
Yeah, she loves the negotiation. I'm just like, it works, but she's used to it. Everything's negotiable in India. So
that's a valid point, and I will tell you, I grew up in the Bay Area, and we used to have garage sales, and whenever I'd see like Middle Eastern or Indian people come, I'd be like, because they were so good at negotiating. They just didn't let up,
Yeah,
it
wore you down a little bit.
Yeah. And like, even as a kid, I remember having a garage sale and be like, oh man, I'm in trouble.
Oh, no.
Just sell the whole box, $8. It's fine.
It's okay.
Yes. But it was something like that. Like, there are, I think, cultures, that where you grow up that way. And, so you ever gonna flip a condo?
Flip a condo?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I want to touch a condo.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the major pitfalls in Florida right now, are condos.
Yeah, there's so many like things that are like falling out on them, and it's like the whole like sinkhole issue rocked like the condo world, and now it's just issues with that too. And then the whole thing that we've touched on previously, like affordability, that HOA fee. It sounds like, oh, but your price is only this, but you kind of apply the HOA fee. You're like, you might as well just go get a house that is $100,000 more, and it'll be cheaper than this condo.
Yeah. Well, most people are monthly payment driven, and you're right. When you have a condo fee that's $700, $800, $900, you're like, the fee's higher than the potential, monthly payment on it.
Right.
So
I better get personalized massages if I'm getting like $900 in HOA fees.
Right. And if you guys don't know, he's talking about when Surfside fell, that building. And what happened is they were like, wait, a lot of these condo buildings were built in the 60s and 70s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. And you get to a certain point and you need to go in there and have a structural engineer look at everything, see how it's holding up, get to the new codes. Beforehand, they were only held to the codes of their time. Now they have to upgrade their codes to current times. They aren't allowed to just be grandfathered in anymore. And what's happening is a lot of these condos, they're ending up with $1 million, $2 million, worth of construction on there.
Yeah.
And then each, owner of each condo is having to come up with $20,000, $30,000,
It's crazy.
It is crazy. And so these people, they can't afford it. But they bought a condo because it cost $150,000. It should be less expensive. And now they're being basically priced out of it.
Right. And then the other issue too is, as we've seen a big thing on roofs. Roofs have gotten cheaper, stay the same.
I don't think they get cheaper.
So when you have like this whole thing, the HOA has to set a budget, right? So they set a budget based on, what a roof cost like 5-10 years ago. And then something has to be done. They go, oops, this is like 5 times the amount that we thought it was going to be. So they can, hey, condo owner, I have a bill for you for 20 grand,
Yeah, you're spot on. So reserves in general are a huge issue. Not many HOAs have enough reserves.
Yep.
It's one of the things too with condos specifically, but also like townhomes and stuff. Not as much. I don't run into this as much with like single family type homes. Those HOAs are usually okay, but There are some that have issues, but usually if they have issues, they get sold out pretty quickly. But the condo and the townhome ones, I mean, they just go up so astronomically quick.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. And even now we have my mom's home listed it's a nice villa, so like a townhome. And she owns one half, and it's in a 55 plus community. When she first purchased, it was about $300 a month in HOA fees, which, I mean, it seems like a lot, but they got all these resort pools, they got workout centers. It's a 55 plus community.
Yeah.
So they have all the things like the infrastructure and the things that would entice a 55 plus to do that. I mean, there's classes, there's yoga, there's this. They have once a month, they go to Disney trips and different things. And obviously those cost a little bit extra, but they have all these functions. And for $300, my mom was like, this is great. But now it's like $500 a month. And this is only 3 years later.
Not great.
Yeah, not great. And now it's a lot more difficult to sell because everybody is pinching pennies. 55 plus is typically, you have people, well, a lot of times they're snowbirds. So a lot of times, but they're still on like a fixed income. So they're trying to figure that out. So it is a major issue. And condos, I can't, every time I go to some sort of trend about Florida and the housing market, it's like the end of the world. Oh, it's crashing. Oh, it's this, it's that. It's horrible. It's stuck. And it's like, that's because all you guys do is take into account all those dang condos, and the few poor, like the parts of towns like Davenport that aren't doing well. But you're not taking into the big picture of Florida, of what's happening in Florida. So
exactly. But isn't it so much more fun to talk about that things are on fire versus
it catches people's attention?
Yeah. Versus like, hey, it's great. You can go buy here. You get good pricing. You get good incentives from sellers during this time frame. No, let's just talk about what's terrible over here.
Yeah. YouTube's going to hate me, but I'm going to go, because you said fire, I'm going to go on conspiracy mode now. But did you see all the purchases going on in California? Like the land grab is going now on all those. And a lot of those properties, they didn't have homeowners insurance, And so basically homeowners insurance left California because California wasn't beefing up their water systems and everything to mitigate these, they call them the devil winds. I don't know if you ever know this, but in Southern California, when settlers first arrived in California, they would say they have these devil winds, and it's like hurricane season for us. Okay. And when you have these devil winds, it's super dry. Super dry, and the wind just goes through. So any sort of spark or anything like that, there's no stopping it. Even I grew up in the Bay Area, and it was like every year about this time of year, it got so dry. It's called the Golden State. Yeah. It's because all the hills dry and die. And then they're gold rather than green, like the grass is in Florida. Okay. When we drive through, Florida's green. Yeah. If you go through California, it's brown. Brown. It's golden. So it's the Golden State. But that stuff lights on fire. Fast. Real fast. And then when you don't have any water reserves and you're trying to spray stuff with, nothing. So dust. Yeah. Anyways, that's the reason why all those homeowner insurance companies left, was because the water issues, and they never did anything about this. But now there's a big money grab going for all the land. Oh, because people, they're like, I don't have insurance on it, so I'm not going to be able to rebuild. So great. And a lot of these are rich people, like neighborhoods and stuff. And part of me is like, why wouldn't they just rebuild? And I don't quite understand what's going on, but a lot of people, from my understanding, they're just abandoning the homes. And the investors that are buying these up, they're not buying them to rebuild single family homes. They're going to rebuild like apartments, multifamilies, and all sorts of stuff. So, you had this low density area that was rich, nice homes and everything. Yeah. Demolish that, and then we'll put in all the mixed use and high density. And for me, I'm just like, it just seems like it was on purpose. I'm sorry, YouTube. Natural disasters. It just not so natural anymore. Well, they don't know how that started. And I do think that arson or not arson, there was major negligence going on.
Mm.
You know, not to have any water to put any out, like to
Mhm.
connect to a fire hydrant and have no water come out.
It's good. I think there's something there.
There's something there.
Somebody's been planning this for a while.
Yeah. So, anyways, I just had to go conspiracy tinfoil hat on that one
Yeah.
because you mentioned fire, and I'm just like I was reading about all the purchases, all
Yeah.
the land grabs, and I'm like,
Mm.
dang. And they did that in Hawaii when Maui when it burned down. What was that? 2 years now or something like that? Like a couple
Mhm.
years ago now.
Mhm.
Those people that owned that land, they can't rebuild.
Right.
They don't have the money. They don't have the
No.
infrastructure. They're not even allowed to go back to their land. They're basically forced to sell off. And they got into trouble in that situation in the first place because all the tourist areas on the other side of the island started pulling all their water away.
Oh.
So they had the same problem when there was a fire. They had nothing to take care of it.
Jeez.
So I don't know. I don't know if it's negligence. I don't know if it's on purpose. I'd like to give people the benefit of the doubt, but the fact is that this is a lot of land grabs, a lot of purchases.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, if we could just get some of the lending on that, that'd be great.
That would be good.
So,
Some ground up construction.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they're busy over there. We still have hurricane issues over here, so there's still places being bought all up and down Tampa and the coast that are just.
Let's just hope it doesn't hit this year.
Right.
We'll get this one. We'll fix it up and hope it doesn't hit this year.
Yeah. So, I mean, we got a good few months before it does come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a beautiful house in place. It'll be perfect.
Well, what was it like? Who was it? Was it Brendan's parents' house?
Oh, that one got hit twice.
It got hit twice.
He was telling me about it. He's like, yeah, got it listed, and then it got hit. And then, we kind of figured it out and then had it listed again, had it under contract, I think, and then got hit again.
Wow.
And got the
I think that
double-
was Fernando Beach, right? Or
I think so.
yeah. So that's a little bit north of Tampa, from my understanding. But
Mm-hmm.
this house is beautiful. It was on kind of the canals coming in
Mm-hmm.
from, and apparently, it got hit by one of the hurricanes, and then the very next year.
No, it was like the
Or-
back-to-back. So when we got the two that were like 3 weeks apart, it got hit by both of those.
In addition to the one the year before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
The Gulf Coast just got like decimated the last number of years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just been rough over there.
Yeah. But I mean, still, to live on the Gulf of America, who wouldn't want that?
Right? Those beaches are beautiful over there.
Right.
Mhm.
I mean, to formerly live on the Gulf of Mexico and now live on the Gulf of America is just priceless.
I think that just improves your property values.
Yeah, I know. I would agree. It makes more sense.
A little
So,
labeling helps.
did we talk about the Gulf of America last time? I feel like I talked about
We
it.
might
in
have
our
touched on it, but
conversation.
yeah.
But anyways, listen, I had a great time. Anything you want to add about lending or anything?
No, I just think that if you get inspired by what you've heard about, some flipping or ground up construction, want to build something beautiful from land, let us know. We have solutions on both those, and it's really easy to get started.
Yeah.
Not a lot of experience needed. Ground up construction, yes. But if you need an option, you want to get into flipping, I can do it for 0 experience.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
10% down. Rehab covered.
And break even your first time.
Yeah!
Well, I mean, as your first flip, that is pretty good because
Yeah.
you underestimate everything. It's hard to figure out all the costs. And then, not to mention, the time at which you decided to sell is
Mhm.
not the most lucrative time to be
Right.
selling. It's not the easiest to get rid of.
Mhm.
Maybe, hopefully, the price point helped you out a bit.
Price point helped. Area was hot
Yeah.
too, so that
Okay.
it was good. It was moved quickly.
All right. Yeah. Listen, guys, we really appreciate you tuning in.
Absolutely.
And we'll probably catch you on the next one. I'm Trevor with the Locals Group, and that's Trent with Mpire.
See you in the next one.
Later.
So what are we going to talk about?
Who knows?
Press record.
Yeah.